in the 6th round, and 6 quarterbacks were taken ahead of him.
Tom, what do you think makes a good ball player?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Tom Brady knew as much then as experts will tell you now. It's not easy to identify good players, and even harder to predict NFL quarterbacks.
When a coach or a scout tells you that this guy has the intangibles, or we're looking for the intangibles, that's a euphemism for saying we have no clue what we're looking for, we just know it when we see it.
You know, you have these guys that are in college, and yeah, they have the ability to stand back there in the pocket and throw it to this guy who's open by 10 yards. Okay, do they have the same ability to stand back in that pocket when a guy's hitting them and throw it to a guy that's open by 1 yard? Can you do it when the speed's faster? Can you do it when you're getting hit by somebody bigger? Can you do it when the defense you're seeing is more complex? Nobody knows until they actually get there.
Tom Brady reads defenses better than any quarterback I know right now.
It's not easy. Tom Brady wasn't something that happens every year. You're not going to find that 6th-round quarterback who becomes a Hall of Famer. It just isn't going to happen.
For a future Hall of Famer, Brady's early life in football was a constant struggle for recognition.
I'd like to introduce my starting quarterback from this past season, Tom Brady. If any colleges or coaches are interested in seeing more of Tom, we have a whole list of past plays that you can sort of look over the 10-game period of last season.
I never played football until my freshman year, and as a freshman, I was the backup quarterback on a team that was 0-8.
The team didn't score a touchdown, and he wasn't deemed good enough to play one offensive play as a quarterback.
The only reason why I played my sophomore year was because the kid who was the freshman quarterback stopped playing, because I'm not playing football anymore. So I was like, I guess I'm going to play. And I always had a decent arm, but I just really took to the game.
Brady never developed into a blue-chip recruit, but he caught the attention of the Maize in blue. The University of Michigan opened its doors to him.
There were 7 guys on the depth chart when I got there. Scott Dreisbach, who was the year ahead of me, Brian Greasy, who was a year ahead of that. Jason Carr was going into his 5th year. Scott Loeffler was this highly recruited quarterback out of Ohio. I remember being out there the first day of practice and being like, man, I'm better than these guys. Now, of course I wasn't, but just that was always my attitude.
Come on, Brady and Greasy, hurry up!
By his sophomore season, Brady was pushing number 14, senior Brian Greasy, for the starting job.
Greasy and Tommy they were tied. I mean, they were neck and neck. No one knew who was going to start, and Coach Carr's thing was always the tie goes to the upperclassmen. I remember Tommy being a little, mad about that, and thought about transferring, and thought about going back home to Cal or something like that.
He came back the next day. He sat down right in front of my desk, and he said, Coach, I'm not going to leave, and I'm going to prove to you that I'm the best quarterback. There's no question. As I looked into his eyes, he had a goal in mind, and he was not going to be denied.
In his junior year, Brady started every game and won 10 of his final 11. But to remain the starter his senior season, he would have to fend off sophomore Drew Henson. Before even coming to Michigan, Henson was a state hero, a 2-sport phenom for a high school 20 miles outside of Ann Arbor.
He probably was the most highly touted athlete to come to Michigan, at least in my memory.
You know, he has incredible talents. I mean, faster than I was, stronger, quicker, more elusive, better arm.
This guy has, they say, can't miss written all over. Lloyd Carr said, I've never been around a guy that has this much potential.
At the start of Brady's senior season, the tight quarterback battle did not automatically go to the upperclassmen.
Who's our starting quarterback? What time's the game? 3:30? You'll see then.
Coach Carr said, all right, Tom, you're going to start the games. Drew's going to play the second quarter games, and then we're going to decide, who plays after that. He thought he had 2 good quarterbacks, wanted to play them both, and he said he was going to go with the hot hand.
We had a chance to talk to some NFL personnel, and this one director of player personnel said he understood why Michigan is continuing to try to get Henson more and more opportunities to go out there and get experience, because his upside is so much higher than Tom Brady's. And I said, yeah, but Brady's the guy with the experience. He's the captain. 10 wins last year. He said, yeah, but if he doesn't play Henson, he's got a problem, because then Henson's going to go and he's going to go play baseball.
Tommy was a clear cut. He was the captain of that team. He was the leader of the team, and he was the best quarterback on that team, bar none. Ask any guy on that team.
With Carr juggling the quarterbacks, Michigan won its first 5 games. But against Michigan State, the Wolverines got in a 17-point hole with Henson. And Brady was asked to dig them out of it.
Pump fake going to the corner. Terrell is open. Touchdown, Michigan.
Brady threw for 241 yards in the final 18 minutes and nearly brought Michigan back. After a 307-yard performance the following week, the quarterback competition was over.
Brady really separated himself the way he played. And that's when I decided Brady was going to be the quarterback and Drew was going to be the backup.
Against Penn State, Michigan trailed by 10 in the final minutes.
Middle's open, reaches for the touchdown, Michigan.
And the legend of the comeback kid was born.
Throws it, get it, touchdown, Tom Brady leads the Wolverines back.
There's no greater leader in intercollegiate athletics than Tom Brady. He's handled his difficult coaching decision this year in a way that only enhanced his stature among his teammates and all those people who love Michigan.
Brady's finest collegiate performance was still to come, the Orange Bowl.
It's the last time I'd take the field as a Wolverine. We got down in the game 14-0 and came back and tied it 14-14. We got down 28-14 in the second half, came back and made it 28-28. We went to overtime and I ran a bootleg and threw it to Sean Thompson.
Sets up, fires across the middle, his tight end's got it, Sean Thompson, touchdown!
They scored to make it 35-34, and they kicked the extra point and missed the extra point. We won in overtime.
Make no mistake, Tom Brady carried us through that game.
The Alabama game, in my experience at Michigan, is as fine a performance at quarterback as anybody ever had.
We kidded you about being the comeback kid. Wow. You didn't want to have to wait till the fourth quarter to bring the team back, but you did a tremendous job.
What better way to go as a fifth-year senior as an Orange Bowl victory?
You would think Brady's achievements at Michigan would have won the admiration of pro teams looking for a quarterback in the upcoming draft. But it didn't happen that way. Brady's struggle for recognition continued.
I only had one call from the NFL. Bobby Greer, who was with the Patriots at the time, talked about they were going to draft a quarterback late. I just said, Bobby, I guarantee you, you will never regret drafting Tom Brady.
This is the draft report on you. Basically, it goes poor build, skinny, lacks great physical stature and strength,
lacks mobility and ability to avoid the rush, lacks a really strong arm, can't drive the ball downfield, does not throw a really tight spiral.
System-type player who can get exposed if forced to ad lib.
And gets knocked down easily.
That kind of gets me fired up because I'm thinking, what the hell do these people know? I mean, that sounds like Joe Montana right there.
Joe Montana. As a kid who grew up 20 minutes from Candlestick Park, that's exactly who Tom Brady wanted to be.
We used to be dyed-in-the-wool 49er fans. We loved Joe Montana, best ever.
When I was 4 years old, my dad took me to one of the games. It was the NFC Championship game when Dallas played the Niners at home.
And he throws into the end zone. Touchdown!
We were sitting in the end zone when Dwight Clark made the catch.
In the 2000 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers were one of the teams looking for a quarterback.
We knew all about Tom. Tom was from Sarah High School, right up the street here. At the Combine, when you watched Tom, you saw this tall, gangly-looking kid. Looked like having ever seen a weight room. Ran a 5.2 something. One of the slowest quarterbacks in the Combine. Does he wow you throwing the ball? There were some other guys that could shoot it, and he had just an okay arm. Did his coaches at Michigan really stand on the table and say, this is the greatest thing since Joe Montana? No, not even close. They had to decide if it was he or Drew Henson. We even had a local combine in San Francisco where the kids from the local colleges or the local high schools can come by and have a workout. And Tom was there, and Bill was there. We were all there. And Tom, to be quite honest, did nothing that would say, hey, we need to draft this guy.
His 40 time and that vertical jump in 32 years of doing this, we talked about 576 quarterbacks. He was number 576.
It's not really what my skill set is, but fortunately for me, that's not what quarterbacking's about either.
If you're going to go somewhere and learn a little bit about quarterbacking, you might as well go the Bill Walsh School of Quarterbacking, of which Steve Mariucci is a pretty good offensive coach in his own right. Giovanni Carmazzi, quarterback of the Flying Dutchman of Hofstra, and he's the second quarterback pick.
We had season tickets for the 49ers for 25 years, and we were just hurt. It just, we kind of took it personally, if you will.
Giovanni Carmazzi, the quarterback who was ranked second on your board behind Chad Pennington. Tell me where he fits in this current quarterback situation.
Well, he was probably the best quarterback in the draft as far as athletic ability. This is a fine athlete with a real future. We were sweating it out about the last 10 picks that somebody would take him. Then we heard later that others were just about to take him when we did. So that was one of our better choices.
We're in the draft room. It was the 5th round. We already had 3 quarterbacks at the time. We had just signed our number 1 quarterback, Drew Bledsoe, for a lot of money.
How much time's left on the clock? 9 minutes. We have 18 seconds.
I remember Belichick walking up to the board and said, wow, this Brady's still on the board.
One of the real troubling parts was the Michigan situation, the fact that really they were trying to replace him as their starting quarterback and say, okay, they don't really want this guy as their starting quarterback. They want another guy. Well, what's the problem here? It's a little bit of a red flag there.
The Patriots' first 5 picks were number 70, tackle Adrian Clem, who started just 10 games for them in 5 seasons. Running back J.R. Redmond, who finished his career with less than 700 rushing yards. Tackle Greg Robinson Randall, who lasted just 3 seasons with the team. Tight end Dave Stachelski and defensive lineman Jeff Marriott. Both never made the roster. And with the 199th overall pick, they selected a skinny quarterback from Michigan named Tom Brady.
There's nothing we could really do about the whole Henson situation. We just had to evaluate what we saw, and we saw Tom time and again his senior year start the game off well, and then so many times Tom would come back in and rescue the situation and pull out the win for Michigan against great competition, the biggest game. He just took his opportunities and tried to make the most out of them.
Brady made his share of rookie mistakes.
I can't stand it. Run it again. Huddle up and run it again, Brady.
But he possessed a veteran's confidence.
This skinny beanpole of a young man walked over to me and said, "Hi, Mr. Kraft. I want to introduce myself. I'm Tom Brady." I said, "I know who you are. You're our 6th-round draft choice." And I always remember he looked me like a laser, eye to eye, and he said, "That's right, and I'm the best decision this organization has ever made."
I remember calling my agent, and I said, "I think I want to buy a house." This is 2 weeks into training camp. And he's like, "Are you nuts? Why don't you make the team first?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to make the team. Don't worry about that. Let's just make sure we get a good interest rate."
Back. Oh, no, push, back. No, this way, angle, push.
37 days ago, Steve Young pulled the plug on the 49ers' 20-year dynasty. From Montana and Young, we now have Garcia and Meyer. But perhaps the starter of the future is 23-year-old Giovanni Carmazzi.
You can't really set your expectations to play like Joe Montana or Steve Young, but just the fact that they considered me to be a guy who maybe someday could adequately fill those shoes, I'm very proud of that, and it's a tremendous honor.
Gio, look at me. What's the situation? What's that? What's the deal here? Right? Yeah, but what's the down and distance, and how much time do you have left? Don't look.
22 seconds, I've got it.
All right, Gio's out of bounds. 1 foot in front of the numbers, right there. Right there. That's the difference between him making 5 yards and 12 yards. Here versus here. Put it where you want it.
This kid had all the measurables. He was fast. He was athletic. He was strong. He was smart. Played at Hofstra. Well, is Hofstra playing for the national championship? No, but they had a lot of good players coming out of there, okay? But it became evident, first game, preseason game. The stage was maybe a little too big. The lights might be a little bit too bright for him.
Hey, Coach. 2 days after Joe Montana was inducted into the Hall of Fame, the 49ers were hoping to see signs that Giovanni Carmazzi was the next Joe Montana.
Carmazzi under pressure, and let it be duly noted that his career begins rather ingloriously with back-to-back sacks.
The next Joe Montana was on the field that day. He just happened to play for the other team.
And I think we walked out of that game feeling that we had probably taken the right guy.
I'm telling you, when you get out on the field and another team wants to knock your head off, they've got to be able to handle that mentally and emotionally. And some do, some love it, and some that makes them very nervous, and they lose some confidence. To this day, I believe that Gio, he got off on the wrong foot against the Patriots in the preseason game, and boy, I think some doubt crept in.
Carmazzi never appeared in a regular season game and was released after 2 seasons. Brady would go on to win 3 Super Bowls, but as a rookie, he would barely make the roster as the Patriots' 4th quarterback.
The reason we didn't release him was because we felt that we didn't want to take a chance on losing him, and so we carried him as a 4th quarterback even though he never played, and it was really a wasted roster spot for the 2000 season, but we felt that Tom had enough potential if he could continue to improve, so that's why we carried him as an active player.
Tom Brady fell in love with football the day Dwight Clark made the catch. As fate would have it, Clark had a chance to draft Brady in 2000 as the GM of the Cleveland Browns. Clark did draft a quarterback. It just wasn't Tom Brady.
A spur-gun win from Southwest Texas State. 47.8 completion percentage this past year at the Division I AA level. 13 interceptions, only 12 touchdown passes.
Would you say that again? 47%? I don't know. My tape must be blocked out or something. I can't figure this one out, guys.
We couldn't believe it. 47%. I mean, Tommy had thrown it better than 62% his senior year, had thrown twice as many TDs as interceptions, had come back in games and the biggest stage with 100,000 people in the stands, and he didn't get any respect.
Spurgeon Wynn was originally a Big Ten rival of Brady at the University of Minnesota, but he soon transferred back home to tiny Southwest Texas State.
I didn't see the Wynn kid. I don't remember him out of college much.
Oh, he's pretty good.
For some reason, I don't remember.
Minnesota, when you were there.
No.
At the University of Minnesota.
Oh, at the university? No. Was he really?
Yeah.
As what?
Quarterback.
I didn't play big-time college football, that kind of deal. I never really had a great year. We didn't win a whole bunch of games.
Spurgeon had a strong arm. I mean, make no mistake about that. But Tom Brady was the best quarterback in my eyes in that draft that year. And then when I came to Cleveland and played with some of these quarterbacks, I'm like, wow, like, really, these are our quarterbacks we got here? And Tommy went in the 6th round. It's just unbelievable. It's just mind-blowing.
I'm anxious to see Spurgeon win. There's a good chemistry there.
That's it. But see, you got to make that decision earlier so he has a chance to hear it.
My expectation was that I wasn't going to play my first year. We had a #1 pick, Tim Couch, and we had Ty Detmer. Played a bunch of years, been everywhere. You know, I was told, hey, you know, sit and learn behind these 2 guys, which at the time I was okay with. Looking back, it was probably a mistake to even have that kind of thought process.
After an injury to former #1 pick Tim Couch, Spurgeon Wynn was forced into action. It was trial by fire. A 44-7 thumping by the 2000 Ravens, the eventual Super Bowl champions.
Caught off guard, yeah. I was caught off guard a little bit, and like I said, that was my own fault.
Talk to me about your favorites, because just talk to me about
under.
Love under, okay.
I like sticks.
Okay.
I like double seam. I
All
like
right.
10 seam.
Okay. Just want to throw so you can get on TV, huh?
Yeah.
Tom Brady had to wait a year for his moment. A moment he prepared for the minute he was drafted.
A lot of people don't believe in you. It was obvious by, 6 other quarterbacks taken and 198 other picks. And I always felt, you know what, once I get my shot, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to really take advantage of that.
I remember we were out in California for a wedding, and he was talking, and he said, I'm going to beat out Drew Bledsoe. And I go, we call each other coach. I go, Coach, this is Drew Bledsoe, Pro Bowl quarterback. He goes, I'm telling you, and he starts throwing that ball harder at me and harder. And I got no gloves on. He's ripping my hands to shreds. And he goes, I'm going to beat him out. You just watch.
Right there, good. Ready to see it, Brady. That's the best series you've had in camp.
We signed Damon Heward in 2001 as the backup quarterback, but by the end of training camp, Tom beat Damon out, and he really had a better preseason than Drew did.
Damn it.
What held us back from making that decision was just Tom's inexperience. And then, of course, by the end of the second game, Mo Lewis hit Bledsoe.
And the rest was history. And I knew when he got hurt that there was no way Tommy was going to get that job back to Drew.
Tom Brady has been put into quarterback and Drew Bledsoe taken out.
The story is well known. Bledsoe never reclaimed the starting job. Brady never looked back.
36 seconds left. Brady drives him 60 yards.
Brady led the Patriots to the AFC East title in 2001, twice beating the Colts and future rival Peyton Manning.
Good game. Oh, man, good luck. You too.
Unlike Brady, Manning was a 4-year starter in college, the best quarterback in Tennessee history. His successor was T. Martin, one of the Brady Six.
Martin, that ball going down the sidelines is caught. Here's Price. It's touchdown.
Martin did something at Tennessee that Manning never did. He won a national championship.
You're going undefeated, and every week somebody's giving you their best to beat you. You know, you don't breathe. You just keep going. And to finally be the best at the end of the year, it was an awesome feeling.
But in the NFL, he appeared in just 3 games and completed only 6 passes.
The NFL is such a bottom-line business. You know, it's about production. You either get it done or you're not there any longer. And that reality set in pretty quickly.
We're gonna get this one. Promise? I promise that.
Tom Brady didn't get to where he is without a little luck.
He calls the football. The Raiders have the ball. Charles Woodson came on a corner blitz, and he rocked his former Michigan teammate.
The play is going to be reviewed, though, Greg.
After reviewing the play, the quarterback's arm was going forward. It is an
all right. Patriots retain the ball.
If not for the tuck rule, the Patriots would have lost. Instead, it was a coming out party for the comeback kid.
The snap to Brady. Looks, stands, starts to run with it. He is down to the 5, and he's in. Touchdown, Tom Brady.
And he spikes the ball and goes wild here in Foxborough.
Then after an upset in Pittsburgh, it was on to the Super Bowl.
I wasn't happy the fact that they beat us, but I was happy for him. And I told him how much I was proud of him. I actually gave him a hug and I wished him well.
I said I was going to get you down. I said I was going to get you down.
With the score tied late in the game, many expected New England to run out the clock.
Now with no timeouts, I think that the Patriots, with this field position, you have to just run the clock out. You have to play for overtime now.
Instead, the Patriots gambled on pick 199.
You know, in those last 2 minutes, I got a glimpse of what Tom Brady would become. He's a guy that no situation's too big.
41 seconds left.
He's a guy that can find ways to win games for you.
Caught. Troy Brown at the 40.
Setting up the winning field goal to beat us. Even if it's against me, and even if it's him taking a Super Bowl ring from me, I couldn't help but appreciate what Tom did in Super Bowl 36.
How about that one? All right. How about that, baby? How about
that one? In the 2001 season, Tom Brady led the Patriots to one of the biggest upsets in Super Bowl history. A surprising feat for the 199th pick in the 2000 draft. But he wasn't even the first quarterback in his draft class to get a ring.
I ended up getting picked up by the Baltimore Ravens, and we ended up going to the Super Bowl. So obviously Greg got a Super Bowl ring out of it, which was awesome.
We were prepared to take Chris Redman in the first round. Our scouts in particular really loved the guy. So when he kept falling and we were able to pick him up in the third round, the room kind of exploded because we felt like we were getting a late first round value.
Slot right, 80 curl on one. Slot right, 80 curl on one. Ready.
Redman played for his father at Louisville Male High School, where he set the national record for touchdown passes in a season with 57.
Chris Redman, touchdown, great pass again.
Like Tom Brady, Redman was recruited by Michigan.
As far as recruiting goes, what's the most memorable recruiting story you have so far?
I'd probably just say when I was at my girlfriend's house, and I had no idea who it was, and all of a sudden they said telephone, and I was like, hello, and they said, this is Michigan calling, and I had no idea. I mean, they would call you at your girlfriend's house, so they kind of go to extremes.
Redman ended up staying home at the University of Louisville, where he became their all-time leading passer. But he was just another guy in Baltimore, educated in the nuances of the clipboard.
You want to switch seats?
No. I want a cumulative. That way I can look here and see by personnel and down and distance if there's any tendency to what they're doing. So you just keep going.
Chris Redman was a coach's son, and we had high expectations for Chris. We thought he could process the game a little bit faster than he did, and it just didn't turn out for him.
I was out of the league for a couple of years, actually selling insurance on the streets. It sounded good. You get to play a lot of golf, be outside, and be a people person, which I am. But I found out that it's tough. You know, I found it being harder than football because I was not really good at it. You know, and I was like, man, if I get a chance to do the football thing, I'm going to make sure that I make the best of it.
In the spring of 2005, Redman got another chance. A tryout with the New England Patriots.
You know, Chris is a big, strong kid. You know, physically had good talent. But after working with him for a period of time, we just felt that there were other options.
All right, okay.
Redman was nearly Brady's teammate. Chad Pennington was his rival. Pennington was the first quarterback taken in the 2000 draft. 181 spots before Tom Brady.
With the 18th pick in the first round, the Jets select quarterback Chad Pennington from Marshall University.
Pennington became a starter in 2002 and led the Jets to a division title, beating out Brady's Patriots.
Pennington plants, throws, end zone, touchdown!
But after that, the rivalry was one-sided. Brady won 7 of the next 8 meetings, while injuries threatened Pennington's career.
I had 2 shoulder surgeries within 8 months, 2 rotator cuff tears, and I had lost the zip on the ball. Well, obviously.
That's that lob throw. That's that slow curve, that slow knuckleball. Oh, I like that one.
You know, a lot of times you're coming back from an injury with a body part that you don't have to survive with it. Shoulder, quarterback, that's your survival. That's your whole livelihood.
All right, here we go. Let's get some yards here. One on, right 35, on one. Ready?
In contrast, the string bean from San Mateo seemed invincible. At one point, making 111 consecutive starts.
You know, part of being a quarterback, being a leader, is being on the field. And you never want to see someone else do your job. Like Brett Favre, you know, he never came off the field, never even gave a chance to any other quarterbacks to get his job. That's how I feel. I don't ever want anyone to ever think, man, maybe someone can do Tom's job better than he can do it.
Are we gonna fight? Are we gonna lay down?
In the 2003 season, Brady led the Patriots to another Super Bowl, another last-minute game-winning drive, another Super Bowl MVP award.
Show enough ain't over yet. We gotta give us another. How would that do with that quarterback?
To me, what separates really good players from great players, execute well under pressure. The biggest games, the greatest stage, I think that's what playing quarterback's all about.
A punch-pounding finish to Super Bowl 38. Snap, ball down, kick up, kick is on the way, kick is good! Kick is good! It is over! We're Super Bowl champions again!
You didn't doubt us, did you?
A year later, Brady became the youngest quarterback to win 3 Super Bowl titles. Mark Bulger was there for Brady's first, a third-string quarterback on the opposing sideline. Another member of the Brady Six.
The next year, we started out a little rough, the Super Bowl hangover, whatever they want to call it. And Kurt ended up breaking his finger. We were 0-5, and Coach Martz pulled me in his office and said, "I'm going to start you."
The first game he played was against the Oakland Raiders, and he went in and really tore it up. And the first few games that he played, he was really, really spectacular.
And good patience by Mark Bulger.
Absolutely.
He threaded the needle.
Unfortunately for me, it made me expendable.
Nice. Nice. Really nice, huh? Boy, that's pretty. That's what that is. That's beautiful. How about you, huh? Just another reason why you're the best.
Bulger reached 1,000 completions faster than any quarterback in NFL history and was twice voted to the Pro Bowl.
I felt physically that he was as gifted a thrower as any quarterback that I'd ever been around.
What's up, Mark?
You're living good, man. You're living good. Unfortunately, I don't think all the pieces were around him long enough. They were all getting older. Some people had to be replaced. And I think that's kind of Mark's career. Played great when he had the right guys around him. When he didn't, he struggled. And, it's the same for most of us.
But not Brady. In 2006, he made a championship run with a receiving core made up primarily of cast-offs.
Touchdown, Doug Gabriel.
And newcomers.
Touchdown to rookie Chad Jackson.
I remember I was playing with the Chargers, and that's when LT set the records. We were just hot that year. He goes, "We're going to beat you guys. This guy's overrated. This guy can beat by double moves." And everything that he said when he left, I go, "We're in trouble." Sure enough, 2 minutes ago, he kind of gave me a look, and I go, "You got to be kidding me."
Looking left, firing over the middle. It is caught over the middle by Daniel Graham. Stands in the pocket, shoots it long and deep to the right side. It is caught. Richie Caldwell.
Boom, 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 game.
That was a tough one. A lot tough one.
Brady came up 1 game short of another Super Bowl appearance.
Intercepted! Marlon Jackson! The Colts are going to the Super Bowl!
But he would return the following year with one of the best seasons by a quarterback in NFL history.
Let's go, baby! Let's go today now!
Tom Brady was driven to excel by the 6 quarterbacks drafted in front of him and the early push he received from Drew Henson in college. The connection with Henson is deepest. After all, Brady's career was supposed to happen to the can't-miss kid.
He would have been a first-round draft choice. He showed the characteristics you look for in an NFL quarterback.
And then Tommy Brady, there's no way that any of us really thought that Tom was going to become the quarterback that he became in the NFL.
Like Henson, Brady was a 2-sport prospect.
When it's down and away, you drop the shoulder. You got to keep on down and away. You got to stay up on it.
My high school is known for baseball, and I love baseball. I was a much better baseball player going into high school.
You play baseball? Pitcher and catcher. I love catching. Kind of figured out back there. Pitchers are too mental.
He got drafted in the 18th round, but we were told had he not committed to Michigan, he would have been a 2nd or 3rd round draft pick.
Brady gave up baseball when he got to Michigan. Drew Henson was drafted by the New York Yankees and continued to play both sports.
When I had my summertime, I just went and I played baseball with the Yankees farm system as opposed to other kids with other summer jobs.
He was just a natural. He was good at everything he did.
He was phenomenal that junior year. He had 18 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, and they beat Ohio State and Columbus.
Henson waits, goes to the end zone. Terrell, touchdown, Michigan.
I remember Charlie Casserly, who was the general manager at that time of the Houston team, had said that if we give the #1 pick and Henson's there and hasn't done anything else, we're taking Drew Henson #1 in the draft.
But after 3 years of back and forth, Henson decided to forego his senior year of football and play baseball full-time.
At that moment, when I was 20 years old, 21 years old, I really wanted to be a pro baseball player.
Henson's major league career was short.
It's too bad the way it turned out. He was 1 for 9 in his baseball career in Yankees, in Yankee pinstripes.
Henson decided to return to football. In 2004, he made his first start for America's team. on Thanksgiving.
They don't let you play third base unless you can throw the ball, and that's what he did as a baseball player, and obviously plenty of arm strength.
But you have to be able to hit the curveball, and that's why he's wearing number 7 for the Cowboys.
The game starts, we take the first drive, we go down and score. We go up 7-0. But in the second quarter, I end up throwing a pick that gets returned for a touchdown.
That's picked off. McQuarters back the other way, and R.W. McQuarters with Henson in his way. Touchdown.
And then he pulled me.
Some big news from the Dallas Cowboys. Bill Parcells told me at halftime he's seen about enough of Drew Henson in his rookie debut. He said the kid did some nice things, but he needs to go with the quarterback who gives him the best chance to win the ball game.
Players get a window of opportunity, and quarterbacks specifically usually get the just one. Tom made the most of his situation in New England. He jumped in when Drew went down, led the team to a bunch of victories, and ran with it. My opportunity seemingly opened and closed on the same day.
You know, these high expectations, you're supposed to be the next great Yankee. You're supposed to be the next great, that's enough. But then also the next great Cowboy. I mean, that is a lot of stuff to deal with.
Tom Brady wasn't supposed to be anything. He had to work at it.
He was skinny, slow, right? Too pretty to be a football player. But he was smarter than everyone. And he studied night and day and night.
Nobody works harder than Tom Brady.
If you didn't play well on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday in practice in college, I didn't know if I was going to start the game. So when I come to the Patriots, that's how I treat Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
That's it. Nice patience on that. Nice patience.
By the time Henson washed out in Dallas, Brady was a 3-time Super Bowl champion and Pro Bowl regular.
And these unis are awful. We look like idiots.
Here's a guy that's one of the greatest quarterbacks in history, yet he still has that chip on his shoulder to be the very best. And he wants to prove those people that doubted him that they're wrong.
Airs it out, downfield. Randy Moss is there. Touchdown! Tom Brady right on the button with that one.
2007 was Brady's best. He set the NFL's single-season record for touchdown passes.
Touchdown pass number 50 for Tom Brady. 20 seconds.
And he took the Patriots back to the Super Bowl, where they fell one game short of the perfect season.
Again, talking with Drew Henson, was at Michigan with Tom Brady. Brady's still doing it. You're retired at 30, but Brady is still doing it. It's like looking for a pimple on Miss America here. Is there anything wrong with this guy?
No, apparently not. Not these days. I'm resigned to the fact that, for forever that our college days are intertwined. So I understand the questions and the football, baseball questions as well. Do you get tired of answering them? Certainly. Do I try to think of new ways to answer them? Sometimes. But it is what it is, and that's all. It's part of my story, and always will be.
A year after Brady's Patriots went 16-0. The Detroit Lions went 0-16. It was Henson's last year in the NFL.
He knew what he had been in college, so he brought him in just to take a look at him to see if there was anything left, and there wasn't.
I'm 30 years old. I'm done playing probably sooner than I thought I would be, but at the same time, I get a jump start in this next career. So I'm looking into sports broadcasting. Actually, broadcast a few games for ESPN3 this fall, doing color for their college football stuff.
Oh, sweet.
I don't have any regrets. Every decision I made felt like at that time was the right decision. Looking back 10 years, I think that patience was something I've never been great at. If I just continued to play baseball when I left school, either that or if I had just played my senior year of football and chose to play football after that, I have no doubts I'd still be playing.
It's going to be a great comeback, guys. It's going to be a great comeback. Here we go.
From high school bench warmer to one of the NFL's most celebrated players, the rise of the comeback kid is quite a story. But what sticks most in Tom Brady's mind is the day he fell to 199 in the NFL draft.
We were led to believe that he was going to be drafted, possibly second round, probably third round. They kept calling quarterback names, and we kept being stunned.
You see, so-and-so get picked, and then there's 9 more picks gone until one team that you think was interested. You get pretty anxious.
We were very distraught. With each name, it was becoming worse and worse.
So I remember being downstairs for like the 4th round, and and that came and gone. And the 5th round was coming and going, and all these other guys were getting picked.
Beginning of the 6th round, he says, I got to get out of here. So he gets up, comes downstairs, and grabs a baseball bat and starts walking up the street.
You know, I don't want to sit around and maybe my hopes get up, or I'd rather just take my mind off it.
And finally, he comes back into the house, and it's about the 22nd pick of the 6th round. And he says, I got to get out of here. The poor guy, and the tension in the house is just really rough.
And it was hard. I remember taking a walk with my dad and mom around the block. It was just a tough day, you know. I just remember being there with my mom and dad. Sorry about that. You know, they just were so supportive of me. And they take it as emotional as I do. And, you know, finally when the Patriots called, I was so excited. You know, I was like, I don't have to be an insurance salesman, you know. So my family was there. We were all excited. And thank God I got picked here.
He got drafted. And we were jubilant.
Of the 6 quarterbacks taken ahead of Brady, 3 played in the league in 2010. Mark Bulger was Joe Flacco's backup in Baltimore. Chad Pennington underwent surgery on his right shoulder for a 4th time. The 2-time comeback player of the year hopes to return for another season.
I don't really want to major in that comeback player of the year award. I don't want to come back anymore. I want to be here to stay.
Chris Redmond plans to return for his 5th season as a backup in Atlanta.
I was so bad at insurance. I don't know if I can do that again, but you know, there's still a few of us still left around. I guess we'll keep fooling them. I don't know. Besides Tom.
T. Martin is the wide receivers coach for one of Tennessee's rivals, Kentucky.
As a kid, some of my role models and father figures in my life were my football coaches.
When you're coming out of it and the ball's coming, you're starting to drift upfield as opposed to still attacking the ball coming downhill.
I knew from the time I started playing that one day I wanted to coach.
I'm gonna be on you, dog. I'm gonna be on you all through the spring. Oh yeah, Dad came out today too.
This is my son. This is Spurgeon IV. I'm saying baseball or golf. This might be the next PGA Masters winner or 30-game winner. Has there been a 30-game winner?
Spurgeon Wynn is an energy trader in Houston.
Obviously, the whole evaluation process isn't perfect. I mean, this is just living proof, right?
I think you figured it was a touchdown. You were banking on it. Well,
Giovanni Carmazzi does not own a television and declined to be interviewed.
you can't be standing there hoping.
He lives 2 hours north of San Francisco and describes himself as a yoga exercising farmer. He has 5 goats.
Hey, this is Michigan weather right here.
In 2010, 3-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady became the first unanimous MVP in NFL history.
Not bad for a California kid.
It's a story that I tell guys. I can come from anywhere. I can go undrafted, drafted low, and win a Super Bowl. Tom Brady did it. I'm proud to be part of that 2000 quarterback draft class that he's holding the torch high for us.
I feel like Tom Brady's one of those players where everything came together in New England, but he would have had some form of success no matter where he went, no matter where he was taken, and no matter what team drafted him.
And he was right in our backyard, and he probably always wanted to be a 49er. And that would have been great. In fact, if we'd have drafted him, I probably would still be coach there.
We all missed on Brady, including the Patriots, because if they knew he was going to be that good, they wouldn't have waited till the 6th round.
Lacks great physical stature and strength.
Lacks mobility and ability to avoid the rush. Does not throw a really tight spiral.
system-type player who can get exposed if forced to add lift.
It means they missed the most important part, heart. They didn't understand what drives somebody.
We didn't open up his chest and look at his heart. We didn't look at that. I don't know if anybody did. And what kind of spine he has, and resiliency, and all the things that are making him really great right now.
This game is a struggle. Tom Brady embraced that struggle more than anybody I've ever known.
It's not by accident he got to where he is. And once he had a Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls, 3 Super Bowls, it doesn't matter. He's still working just as hard.
Throwing the ball with the C as opposed to a U, keeping your front shoulder closed, the little 6-inch step. That bicep as close to your ear as you can.
By the time it's all said and done, who knows how many rings he'll have.
A decade into his career, the man taken with pick 199 has achieved it all, but still feels he has plenty to prove.
It's not really a chip on my shoulder, it's just that feeling